All right, today we are going to tackle a concept that is just so central to understanding Arabic grammar. We're talking about the two different ways a sentence can handle its doer, and honestly, if you can get this, a massive piece of the whole language puzzle just clicks right into place. But first, let me ask you something. Can just one single word really be a complete sentence? You know, one that gives you a full, complete thought? In English, it's pretty tough. You might shout run or stop, but that's kind of it. Well, in Arabic, the answer is a huge, definite yes. A single verb can absolutely be a perfect, complete sentence. And understanding how it pulls that off, that's the key to everything we're going to talk about. So let's dive in. Okay, so our journey starts with the first face of the Arabic sentence, and it's all built around this idea of a built-in doer, which in Arabic grammar is called the fa'il poshita. Now, fa'il poshita literally means hidden doer, and this is where the magic of the Arabic verb system just shines. You see, every single verb form doesn't just tell you about the action, it has the pronoun, the he, she, you, we, baked right into it. The verb is the whole sentence.
Let's just look at this in action. It's so cool. The word dakhala doesn't just mean entered. It means he entered. The he is hiding right there inside the verb. You change the ending just a little to dakhalat, and now it means she entered. Or look down here at dakhalna. That single word means we entered. You don't need any other words. Each one of these is a complete thought.
Okay, so that makes a ton of sense for pronouns like he, she, and we, but what if you want to be more specific, right? What if you want to say, the teacher entered, or the students entered? How does that work? And that question right there, that leads us straight to the second phase of the Arabic sentence, when the doer is named out loud. This is what we call the fa'il zahir.
Fa'il zahir means the explicit or visible doer. This is what happens when we use an actual noun, like the teacher, the man, the students, as the subject of our verb. And when we do this, the grammar follows one very, very specific and super important rule.
In fact, this is what I call the golden rule of Arabic verbal sentences. Seriously, if you can just lock this one principle into your brain, you are going to save yourself so much confusion down the line. It really does simplify everything. So here it is, just two simple steps. Step one, the verb has to match the gender of the doer. Masculine doer gets a masculine verb, feminine doer gets a feminine verb. Easy enough. But step two, this is the game changer. The verb form always stays singular. I'm going to say that again, always singular. It doesn't matter if one person did the action, or 2 people, or 200 people. If you name the doer, the verb stays singular, period.
Just look at this example right here. For one teacher, the verb is dakhala. For 2 teachers, al-muallimani, the verb is still dakhala. And for a whole group of teachers, al-muallimuna, guess what? The verb is still the singular dakhala. See, it doesn't change for the number of doers at all.
Let's lock this in with a feminine example to make sure we've got it. The verb here is katabat, she wrote. So for one female teacher, al-muallimatu, the verb is katabat. For 2 female teachers, the verb is still katabat. And for a whole group of female teachers, you guessed it, the verb stays right there as the singular feminine katabat. The rule is rock solid. So why does this matter so much? Why am I calling it a golden rule? Because this one little rule is what creates the huge difference between the 2 main types of sentences in Arabic, even when they're saying the exact same thing. This right here is the big reveal. So on one hand, you've got the Jumla Fi'liyah, the verbal sentence. It starts with the verb and it follows our golden rule. Verb stays singular. But on the other hand, you have the Jumla Ismiya, the nominal sentence. This one starts with the noun. And here, the rule completely flips. The verb comes after the noun, and now it must match that noun in both gender and number. This slide says it all. I mean, look at this. We can say the teachers entered in 2 totally different ways. In the Jumla Fi'liyah, the verbal one, we start with the verb, so we use our golden rule. Dakhala is singular, even though the doer, the teachers, is plural. But in the Jumla Ismiya, we start with the noun al-muallimuna, and because of that, the verb has to match it in number. So we use the plural form, dakhalu. It's a singular verb versus a plural verb. Same meaning, totally different structure, and a different feel. Okay, you ready to level up for a second? what happens if the same person or people do more than one thing in a sentence? Like one action after another. Let's see how our golden rule handles that. The rule for this is actually really logical and elegant. The very first verb in the sequence, it follows our golden rule. It stays singular because the doer is named right after it. But then, for any other actions that come after, the doer isn't mentioned again, right? It's just implied. So all those other verbs have to switch back and match the implied doer in both gender and number.
Just look at this example. The girls wrote, then they read. The first part, the girls wrote, is katabat al-banatu. The verb katabat is singular feminine following our golden rule. But then the second part, then they read, becomes thammar qara'na. See that? The verb qara'na is now plural to match the implied they, the girls. The first verb is singular, the second is plural. It's such a brilliant little system.
So what's the big deal? Why does this whole distinction between a Jumla Fi'liyah and a Jumla Ismiya even matter? I promise you, it is not just grammar for the sake of grammar. It actually changes the entire focus of the sentence. And this right here is the key takeaway for the entire explainer. When you start with the verb, a Jumla Fi'liyah, the focus is on the action. Entering is what happened, and the teachers did it. But when you start with the noun, a Jumla Ismiya, the focus shifts to the doer. It's more like the teachers. They're the ones who entered. Understanding this lets you pick up on the subtle emphasis in anything you read. At the end of the day, if you want to master the language, you have to master its sentences. And being able to instantly see the difference between these two structures and knowing why the verb changes, that really is the key that unlocks a much, much deeper level of understanding. So, there you have it. You now have the framework for understanding the two faces of the Arabic sentence. With this new lens, what's the first text you're going to dive into? What are you going to read with this new perspective?